Hello everyone, welcome back to the next video. In this video I will show you how to do Google sign in using Credential Manager for Android and normal Google sign in for iOS in Expo React Native. Now Credential Manager is only used in Android, it is not used in iOS. The typical Google sign in flow remains the same. So if you don't know what Credential Manager is, Credential Manager is the new way of integrating Google sign in Android. The older ways are deprecated, so I won't go into that. So let's see how to do this. So firstly you will have to go to this particular URL. So I'll just open this particular URL. This will help us to basically create an Expo project. Now I will use this blank TypeScript template because it does not have a lot of boilerplate code, but feel free to use any of this template whichever you feel like. So to use this blank TypeScript template, I just need to run this particular command. So what I will do is that I will go to my workspace directory where I want to create the project, and I want to create in this particular folder, and I'll just paste this particular command. I will click on enter. It will ask me for my app name. Let's wait a second. So here is my app name. I will just enter my app, and then it will download all the dependencies for us. So just have a little bit of patience and it will download everything for us. Now I will so here is my app. I will just open it inside VS Code. Alright, next what we will have to do is so Credential, because I am not using any third-party libraries, I will be writing native code. That's the reason we need to create Android and iOS folder inside our project. So we don't have that currently right now. So to create Android and iOS project, you will have to go to this particular documentation. So I will just open that as well. And here you can see that firstly you will have to select Android device. Here you will have to select development build. Don't select Expo Go because that is only for prototyping. Here I have disabled EAS because I don't want to run it on cloud. I want to run it locally. For I'm on Mac OS, but select whatever operating system you are on. I have already installed Watchman and this Zulu and Java Home, Android Studio. I have already done this setup. If you haven't done it, you will have to do it. Once you have done all this setup, you will have to copy this particular command. So here you can see my project initialization is done. So I will cd to my app, and I will run this particular command npx expo install expo dev client. So it will just install the expo dev client. Don't worry too much about it, like even if you don't understand it. Then we will have to run this particular command as well. So this will actually create the Android folder for us. So here you can see the previous command has finished. So I will just run this particular command. So this will create the Android folder for us. So it is asking me for my package name. Now give it some proper package name. I will just name it com.nobody.myapp. Okay, because this package name will be very important as we need to obtain some API keys from the Google Cloud Console. So do remember this package name. So I'll just copy it. Okay, and I'll click on enter. I will just add it over here so that I don't forget it later on. So this is my package name, and here you can see it has created the Android folder for us. Now it does take a little bit of time to do the Gradle syncing, but once it has done, here you can see it is giving me an error because I don't have any Android emulator installed. I like to run on a real device. Also I would highly recommend you to run this project at least for Android on a real device, because on the Android emulator there are some known bugs for Credential Manager. Also I haven't connected my Android device to my laptop, that's why it is throwing me an error. I think this is fine because I don't anyways want to run my app right now because I haven't written any code. So this is fine for me. If it is showing you any Android emulator or Android device, you can just do Ctrl+C, or if you want to run it, you can run it, your choice. But anyways you will have to run it again. So I'll just scroll up, then I will select iOS device. Again select here I have already installed Xcode. I have already done all this stuff. We have already ran this command, so I don't need to run it again. Now for iOS we will have to run this particular command. So I'll just copy it and I'll paste it over here. Now again it will ask me for my package name. So I'll just create the same bundle identifier. Sorry, I'll keep it same. I'll just click on enter. Now it will create again the iOS directory for me, and it will do CocoaPod installation. So if I show you in VS Code, yes, you can see iOS folder. Now again, this will take little bit of time, so be patient. Now in the meantime, I will show you one step. So here we will have to go to this particular URL as well, and I will just open it. So with the help of this particular URL, we will be creating a native module. So we will have to copy this particular command. So I'm just waiting for this to finish. Also, I want to tell you one more thing. I have created one practice project called 3, so I will be copying a lot of code from this practice project, so don't get confused. That's so it's very difficult for me to remember everything by myself. Okay, so the next step which you have to do is you will just have to open Google Cloud Console. Just search for Google Cloud Console and open this. You will see a screen like this. Okay, my CocoaPod installation has still not finished, so let it be. In the meantime, what we can do is we can create one project. So just click over here, click new project, give it whatever name you feel like. I will just create my project Expo. Okay, and I'll click on create. Name it whatever you feel like. Again, the project takes a little bit of time to get created, so be patient. Okay, so here you can see it has created my project, but it has still selected my older project. So I'll just go to this drop down. I'll select the newly created project which I have. Now again, I have written few steps because it's very difficult for me to remember. So here these are all the steps. Also, if you are curious for the documentation, you can refer to this particular documentation. So I'll just open this documentation as well, because I will be needing this documentation in a bit. So I'll just open this for Android we won't be referring, but in case if you are interested, this is the Android documentation. So again, going back to Google Cloud Console, so first we'll have to click over here, then we will have to click on API and services, and we'll have to click on credentials. So again, I have written everything down. So here we'll have to click on create credentials. So click on create credential, OAuth client ID. Just close this, and here just click on configure consent screen. I will click on external, click create. Here you can give your app name. So I will just name it as my Expo app. You can give it a better name. Support email, I will just enter my email ID. If you are deploying it to Google Play Store, you will have to enter the app logo, app domain if you have anything, and here I will just enter my email ID again. I'll click on save and continue. Then here I don't have to do anything. I'll just click on save and continue. Now here is an interesting screen. It tells us that you can add some testers, but what I have noticed is that even if because we are still in debug mode, right? We haven't made a release APK, so we need to add some testers. But what I have noticed is that even if I don't add any testers, if I just click on save and continue, when I run my app, I'm able to pick any email which I want. Okay, so you might be wondering, we should be able to pick any email which we want, right, for Google sign-in, as long as it is a Gmail ID or a Google ID. But given that we are still in the testing phases, Google recommends to add some testers, but I won't be adding that. I don't know why. Like sometime maybe by the time if you are facing any issues when you are running your application and selecting a Google ID, you can come back to this screen and add some testers ID, but I won't be adding it. I don't think this is necessary, but maybe in future Google might change it again. I'll click on save and continue. Then I'll just click on back to dashboard. Again, if you are publishing your app to Google Play Store, you will have to click on this publish app section as well, but again I am not doing that. Okay, so again we'll come back to this. Then we will have to click, we have already created all this. Then we have to go to create credentials, OAuth client ID. So here we'll have to go to credentials, create credentials, OAuth client ID. Application type is Android. Name whatever you feel like. So this is my package name, in case you forgot, com.nobody.myapp, right? I'll just make it little bit down. Okay, I'll enter my package name. Now the SHA-1 certificate is little interesting. Most people, what they tell is that just run this particular command and you will get the SHA-1 certificate. But honestly, according to me, at least for React Native or Expo React Native, this gives a wrong SHA-1 certificate. It gives a SHA-1 certificate for debug testing, something like that. And if you enter that SHA-1 certificate and later on you run your app, you will get an error saying that Android credential exception, no credential exception, during begin sign in failure response. You will get an error something like this. So you will have to use this particular command. Now unfortunately, at least for me, I can't run this particular command directly from my terminal. I will have to run this command from the Android Studio's terminal. So what you will have to do is, you will have to open Android Studio. Basically we will have to open this Android folder inside Android Studio. So I will just open Android Studio. Okay, it has opened my previous project, which I will just close. I'll click on open and I'll just go to desktop samples. Here is Expo, this is my app, right? And here I will select Android. I will just click on open. Again, this will take little bit of time, so be patient. So the Gradle syncing might take a little bit of time. Okay, so let it be. In the meantime, I will come back to this. So here you can see this, our CocoaPod installation is finished, right? Now it is telling me select this particular device to run your app. I won't select it because I haven't written any code. I will just do Control-C and yeah. Next, let this Gradle sync finish. This will take little bit of time. In the meantime, what I will do is I will install our native module. So again, I will go back to this particular documentation and I'll copy this particular command and I will paste it inside our app. So this will create a mod. It will create a folder called my module. So and let it give like it need few time. Yeah, here I will just click on enter. I'll click on enter. If you want, you can change the name. And here you can see it is downloading the template for me. So it has downloaded the template and here you can see it has created a folder called modules. Now next thing, again for iOS we have to do pod installation. So I'll again copy this and I'll paste it over here. So again it will do pod installation. So let's go back to Android Studio. Okay, the Gradle syncing is still happening. It's fine. What I will do is that in the meantime I will copy some code. I will just explain it to you as well what exactly I'm doing. So this app.tsx which you see is from my practice project. Okay, now I will open this app.tsx of our project. Now here we will add this particular I will add this import. I will explain it to you why we are doing this. Okay, I think I have 2 React Native imports. I don't need 2 React Native imports. I will just add touchable opacity in this. Touchable opacity. Okay, now again I'll go back to my practice project. We will have to add this use effect. I will come back to this, like why we are using this use effect and later everything. Let me first copy all the code, and there we are getting few errors as well. That's fine. I will let you know how to resolve those errors. And I will add I will remove this text. I don't need this. And here I will just add 2 buttons. So here you can see that I have created 2 buttons, one for authentication or sign in and second one for sign out. So we will have to define these 2 methods, authenticate and sign out, inside our module, native module which we have created. Also suppose if we have signed in successfully, we will get all the values. So I'm passing the email ID, the profile picture, URL and name in this particular value itself. So only one variable, I'm passing all the values. But if you want, you can create multiple variables as well. And in case if there is any failure, I'm passing this values inside error message. So in case if you get value, this will be undefined. In case if you get error, this will be undefined. So hopefully you got the point. Again we'll okay, so our Gradle syncing is done. Now I will open our terminal. Also my CocoaPod installation is done as well. So I will go back over here, and what was the command? This was this. Again, like I mentioned, don't use this command. This is an extremely wrong command. So I will run this particular command. So ./gradlew signing report. I will run this. Okay, and it will create the SHA-1 certificate for us. Now there SHA-1 key for us. Now there will be different SHA-1 keys. Again there is a big gotcha which I will quickly tell you. Let this finish. So here you can see it has the build is successful, and what most people do, including me, I have done this mistake several amount of times, still I forget it. What I will do is that I will see the SHA-1 certificate, I will just copy it and I'll paste it. This is wrong. You can see over here, this SHA-1 certificate is for debug Android test. We don't want it for test, we want it for debug key. So you will have to scroll at the very top over here. So here is the debug one, and you will have to copy this one. Now here you can see it is completely different from the one which we saw at the bottom, so be very careful at this. Also, if you are using it for release, you will have to use this one. Now for release, it's a little bit more involved. I mean, you can use this particular command as well, but I'm not really sure if this will work or not, because I mean it should work, but here you can see even for release it is using this config, aliases config. If you are seeing, if suppose if you have made the release APK, if you are still seeing this debug Android debug key, if this is not your alias, then I think it's better to use this particular command and try it. Even after this running this command, even after running this command, you get the SHA-1, you entered it inside Google Cloud Console, and then if you get this error, then what I would recommend is go to build variants. Okay, here is the build variants, and here you will have to, instead of debug, move it to release. Okay, same for here, move it to release. Given that I don't have release APK generated, I won't complicate it. So here you will have to go to debug. I'll just copy this SHA-1 certificate. I'll copy it. I'll go back to our Google Cloud Console and I'll paste it over here. Make sure you don't have any spaces at the start and at the end. So I don't have any spaces. Okay, and I'll just click on create. Now the problem with Android Credential Manager is this client ID is pretty much useless. We have to create the Android client, but this won't be useful. We have to generate a web client that would be useful for us. So click on OK, then again click on create credentials, auth client ID, web. Okay, this is fine, just click on create. Now this is the important thing. So this would be my client ID which I will be using inside my application. So I'll just copy this client ID and I will store it inside my app. So I'll just, oh sorry, this is my app.tsx, right? So I'll just add it over here. So I need to use this. So this is for Android, so I'll just click on OK. Now for iOS, just click on create credentials, auth client ID, application type iOS. Here I will have to enter my bundle identifier. It is same as package name. I'll just copy it. I'll paste it over here. Again, if you are releasing it to Apple App Store, you have to enter the App Store team ID as well as the team ID. And I'll just click on create. And here it gives me the client ID for iOS. So I'll just paste it inside my app again. Okay, so this part is done. Okay, now coming back to our code. So firstly we have copied this code inside app.tsx. Hopefully you got the point. Now firstly we will have to create this authenticate and sign out inside our TypeScript file. So go to your modules, you will have to go to src my modules no, not my modules. Is it in index? Yeah, it is in index. So you will have to open index.ts. Again I will just open my practice project and show you, copy the code from that. So this is my practice project, right? Modules, my modules. I will have to open index.ts, and here we will have to create two methods. One is this authenticate method, okay, and another is sign out method. Make sure the authenticate method is an asynchronous function, whereas this sign out is a synchronous function. So I'll just copy these two and I will go to my over here, so you can paste it over here. So if I go back to my app.tsx, here you can see these two errors are gone. Now about this error, right? So here you can see that we'll first have to check where this value is coming from. So if you see, by default a change event listener is added when we create an Expo module. So if you see, go to this change event payload, so it is in src my modules.types.ts. Here you can see value is already present. So you can add multiple like values or variables to this. I'll just add error one as well, and I will add string. Okay, you can make it optional, up to you. If you like, you can create different properties, one for email, one for name, one for profile picture, but I'm keeping things simple. Inside this value itself I am passing everything, but yeah, you can play around with however you feel like. So inside app.tsx all errors are gone. So I'll just close this, I'll close this, I'll close this, I'll close this as well. Okay, next we will have to write the Android code. So for that, again I'll just open my documentation, sorry, my sample code 3. Okay, so this is, I'll go to Android. Firstly we will have to open build.gradle because we have to copy the few dependencies. So I'll scroll down, I'll copy all these dependencies, I will go to Android, I will go to build.gradle, I will scroll down again, and I'll copy this dependency. It's essential, it is important for you, so that if there are newer versions of this libraries, make sure you use them, because currently I am using this RC one. I think by the time you watch it, maybe it might become stable. So do just do a Google search on, I think it might either will be available on docs.android.com, something like that. Just type this inside Google and it will tell you whatever is the latest version. Similarly for this one, and this one as well. I don't think this one is required. I'll just comment this out. I don't think this one is required. We'll see. Okay, then I'll go to src, I'll go to Java, I'll go to my module. Okay, and I'll just close this. Okay, so hopefully you have copy pasted all these dependencies. Then here I will go to my module. Again I'll go to my practice project, I'll go to src main, Java, Expo, modules, my modules. So here I will open this my module.kt file. Okay, so firstly we will have to copy paste all these imports. So I'll just copy all these imports and I will paste it inside my file. Okay, I'll save. Then I will open this again I'll go over here. So first we will have to get hold of our context and activity. So I'll just copy that and I will paste it over here. Okay, make sure the IntelliSense is proper, like not IntelliSense, indentation is proper. It's a little bit off in my case. Then we have to create this Google ID option as well as credential manager. So I'll just copy that as well and I'll paste it over here. You can refer the docs for more explanation. Then inside this we have to also create like override this on create method, and here we will initialize our credential manager. So I will just add it over here. Okay, I'll click on save. Also I will scroll down again. These are by default like boilerplate code. So this is the function for sign out. I will copy it. So this is how you do sign out. I'll just scroll down, I'll scroll. So here my view is finishing. I will just copy the sign out function. So here you can see I'm using the same name what we had defined it inside our TypeScript file. So if you go to index.ts, here it is sign out. That's why you will have to use the same name inside our inside our Kotlin file as well. Same for authenticate as well. You can name this as sign in but change it inside the TypeScript file as well. Okay, so I'll just copy this. So this is the important part, I would say. Okay, and I'll paste it over here. So I'll just scroll up. So here is our asynchronous function for authenticating. So firstly we will have to generate this hash nonce which is required. This is kind of like a security thing, and even I have copy pasted this code from documentation. I don't really understand it. Second thing is set filter by authorization accounts. This should always be false. The reason is that if you keep this as true, you will face lot of errors. This is kept only true. Suppose in my Android device I have signed in with 5 Google accounts. Once the user installs my app, if this is false, this parameter, I will see once user click on authenticate button, I will see all the 5 Google accounts if the user has installed the app for the very first time. But if you keep this true and the user has installed your app for the very first time, he won't see any Google account. The true value is only useful if the user has clicked on sign out and if he is trying to sign back in again. Then in that case, if you keep this true, he will only see that one account which we has used to sign in previously. If this is getting too complicated for you, don't worry, just keep it as false, everything will work for you. Then we have to change this server client ID, right? So I'll just close this, remove this, sorry. I will go to my app.tsx where I have copied it, the web client ID which was used for, which will be used for Android, and I'll paste it over here. Okay, then the auto enable is true, set nonce we have set it. This is the get credential request, and here we have to use a coroutines IO to get the credentials. Okay, next again I'll go back over here, and here I will again copy paste this bit of code, and here you will have to paste it after this. Okay, so be careful with this curly brace, otherwise you will get error. So here we have to, I have created this handle sign in method which we are using over here. So we are first checking what type of credential responses. So credential manager can be used for lot of purposes. So suppose if you have normal sign in email password, and if you can store that email password using credential manager in your device as well. There is something called passkeys for all that, also credential manager is used. So here you can see, here it is passkey. So we are not using passkey, so this is empty for now. I don't really care. Is it password credential? No. Is it custom credential? Yeah, this is the Google sign in credential. So I'm basically checking whether it is of type Google ID token credential. If yes, then here you will get the Google ID token credential. From that you will get the Google ID token. Okay, and this is the person ID. The person ID is actually the email. This is named very poorly. Then this is the display name. This is the person photo. There are a lot of other things inside this Google ID credential as well. You can check the documentation for it. So once I get it, here you can see, to send it back to React Native side, we have to use this send event. This on change is already defined. So if you see one of the already defined functions, so suppose this one on change is already defined. In case if you are curious, here you can go to this index.ts. Here you can see this on change is already defined. So again, coming back to our code, scroll down. So here you can see on change, we are using this particular on change to send this values. So I'm sending everything inside this. So Google ID token, person ID, display name, person photo, but you can use different things if you want to. And in case of error, we are sending error something like this. So here also I'm sending error, and here also I'm sending error. If you are getting confused with VS Code, we already have the project open in Android Studio, right? So I can simply close this. I'll close this as well. I will just do a Gradle sync, this one, because sometimes our module is not easily detected. So I think our module is not currently getting detected because I opened Android Studio first, I guess, and I created the module later on. So here you can see now our module is getting detected. I will open this. I will open the Kotlin plus Java. I can go to this particular file, and here you can see the indentation is messed up. So I can just do code, reformat code, and if there are any errors, it will tell me that as well. So, oh, okay, it hasn't updated anything. Okay, so there is a, oh, so here it hasn't loaded all the changes from my VS Code. So I will tell it load file system changes. Okay, now all these changes are available. So what I will do, again I will do code, reformat code. So now they are in proper format. In here, so this the advantage of using Android Studio is that we will get to know if there are any errors. So here it is telling me there is an error. Okay, I messed up a little in terms of brackets. I need one more bracket. Is it? I need one more bracket over here, I guess, and I don't need this bracket. Okay, so yeah, you can mess things up. I will quickly show you guys the code once again so that you guys are not confused. Here is our context, here is our activity, here are two of our variables. We are initializing credential manager inside on create. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Here we are writing our sign out function. For that also we require a coroutine. This is our authenticate function. Okay, so I have already told you all this. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. So here you can see this is all our code. So hopefully you got the point what I was trying to say. Okay, I think that should be it for Android. I think so. Yeah, just close this. I'll close this as well. Okay, I think that should be it for Android. Now for iOS, again, what I will do is I will go to my project, go to my app, iOS, and I will double click on this XE workspace. It will open it in Xcode. Again, Xcode will give you proper IntelliSense, that's why. Now first, what we will have to do, we will go to the documentation for iOS. So if you go over here, this is the documentation for iOS. So first it tells us that we need to install this particular dependency, so I'll just copy this. Now the problem here is we will have to install this dependency in two places. One is our app level pod file or pods, and one's inside our native module as well. So you will have to go over here, iOS, go to pod file, and here you will have to paste it somewhere over here, I guess. Okay, let me quickly check my practice project. 3 iOS pod file. Okay, I have pasted below the use React Native, right? So I'll just paste it there only. Again, be careful with the IntelliSense, otherwise it might throw an error. So paste it over here. Now same thing, we will have to paste it inside the pod file of our iOS as well. So here is a pod spec file. Again, I will open my practice project. I'll go to modules, my modules, iOS. This is the practice project. I will quickly open it. So here you can see we have to add this. Here we can't just do something like this pod Google sign in. We have to use it in something like this Google sign in. Okay, so I'll just go over here and I will add it over here. Now given that we have added extra dependency, again we'll have to do pod install. So just open your project and then you will again have to run this particular command. I'll just click on enter. It will install the Google sign in dependencies for us. Okay, so if you we don't require Swift support, this is for Swift UI. We are not really using Swift UI. We have already done this part of getting the auth client ID. Then we will have to copy this bit of code. So just copy this again. Okay, I'll just show it to you. I'll just copy this code. Okay, I go to iOS, go to my app, go to info.plist, scroll down at the very bottom, and before the dictionary ends, you will have to paste it over here. Okay, again make the indentation a little bit better, so something like this. Now here we will have to enter our iOS client ID. So if you remember, this is my iOS client ID, right? I'll just copy it and I will paste it over here. Now here we have to enter it in reverse manner. So it should be com.google user content.apps. And this then this. Okay, so I'll just do that. Com dot Google user content dot apps dot. I will just copy this, paste it over here. So this is done as well. Oh yeah, our CocoaPod installation is done as well. Let's see what is the next step. So we don't have to do all this. Ignore this. Again, just go to the next page, and it tells us now here this particular file. This is in Objective C or Objective C++. I should say. So here you can see this is in Objective C++. That's why our native module is in Swift, but this particular this is more like project level file which is in Objective C++. So again I will open my sample code. I will close everything else because here if you look, it is given in Objective C and this is in Objective C++. That's why I could make a mistake. That's why I'm copy pasting code. iOS, go over here, appdelegate.mm. So firstly it is telling what, go to this particular URL file, right? UI application. So I'll just search for this inside my app delegate. So it is over here. This method should already be present. If not, then you will have to write this particular method. It should be present if you have created it using Expo. So here we will have to write this bit of code. Again, I'll just copy it from my practice project. So here I will just copy it, this part, and I will paste it over here. So basically I have copied this entire thing. Don't copy this because here it is all Expo is already returning us something, so we don't have to do this. Then again I'll scroll down. This is for Mac OS, so ignore this. This is for SwiftUI, ignore this. Here again we will have to copy this, so we'll have to search for did finish launching with options. So this particular method, and I'll go back to my practice project. I'll copy this, and here you can see that I will have to copy this bit of code. So this code is by default present. So if I go over here, you can see this code is by default present. I'll just paste it over here. Okay, and here you can see this tells us the app sign in and sign out state, but I don't want to go into that because it will get too confusing. So here this is for SwiftUI. Now here is an interesting part. So most of you might be using UIKit. Basically what it is telling is that you don't have to create the Google sign in button. It is giving you the Google sign in button using this particular GID sign in button. I find it really difficult. I couldn't really figure it out how to use this because there is Objective-C involved, there is Swift involved. Of course many of you would say that okay, you just have to write this code inside over here, inside this particular file, right? But the problem is it is given into a storyboard and zip file, which I don't really know how to do this programmatically. It is getting extremely confusing. So what you can do is basically the touchable opacity button which you have inside your React Native side, just make it look like a Google sign in button. That's it. Okay, so I'll just ignore this. Now again what I'll do is I'll close unnecessary files. And we'll have to open this my module.swift file. Now again I'll go back to my practice project, modules, my module, iOS. I'll have to open this particular file. So here firstly you will have to import Google sign in. I will import that, and we will have to define this particular method authenticate. Firstly this is the asynchronous method, so I'll just copy it. I will also copy the sign out method and I'll just paste it over here before the two curly braces end, so you will have to paste it over here. Okay, so I'll just do Control S. So here we are getting hold of our authenticate method, then we get hold of our root view controller, then we just call this gid signin.shared instance.signin. Now we have to use this Swift part. So here you can see I'm using this particular code. Then if the sign in, if there is any error, I'm sending back error. If not, then we get the user. Here we get the email, name and user ID. There are more properties. You can just like I'm getting this name, email, you can get these properties as well, and I'm sending it back to React Native side. And for sign out, again I just use gid signin.shared instance.signout. So I think they have given it over here. Again we can go to Swift. Again if you are getting confused like writing it in VS Code, I have already opened Xcode, right? You can go to your pods, go to development pods, and here is my module. Okay, I can go to my module, and here I will just do a Control A and then Command A, and I will just do Control I, so it will do proper formatting indentation. So here you can see this is my file. You can see that like Xcode again will give you proper error in case if there is any error. I think hopefully that should be it. So I will quickly run my application and I will get back to you in case if there is any error. I'll let you know that as well. There is one thing which I forgot, is you will have to go to app.delegate.mm and you also need to add this particular import. So make sure you add this particular import inside your app.delegate.mm file as well. Which I want to clarify is that some of you might be wondering, once I have signed in, how do I maintain the state? I'm not sure how to maintain the state using Credential Manager, but I am sending back the token back to the React Native side. Maybe you can save that token somewhere and check using that whether the user is authenticated or not. For iOS, if there is any different way for credential manager, do let me know in the comments. For iOS, I think we can know whether a user has signed in or not using, if I go to this app delegate, and if you remember inside this did finish launching, we have this particular thing. But again it gets really complicated because we have this Objective C++ code, then we have the Swift code, then we have to somehow communicate using this Objective C++ on React Native side. Again I would tell you that given that we are sending this particular data back to React Native side, you can save it somewhere locally, and with the help of that you can maintain a session state as well. I know this could be a bad practice, but if you have a better way, do let me know in the comments, because in React Native there are so many languages involved. If this was only native iOS with Swift, things would have been a lot easier, but given that there are so many moving parts, it's very difficult to do state management. But if you have a better approach, do let me know in the comments. Okay guys, so as you can see, here is our output for Android. I have blurred the output, sorry about that, because I don't want to reveal my email ID. So I'll just click on this authenticate button, and at the from the bottom it has popped up all the email IDs which I have used, which I have logged in with in this current Android device. So I will select any one of this email ID. I'll just click on continue, and here inside the Metro bundler, again it is blurred, sorry about that, but I have received all the details for Android. Okay guys, so here is the output for iOS, and if I click on the authenticate button, again sorry, the output is blurred. I will just click on continue, and here I will have to enter my credentials for Google sign-in. I have already entered inside my practice project, that's why it is showing me to enter the same credentials. But if you are doing this for the very first time, you will have to enter your credentials, and I'll just click on continue, and here inside the Metro terminal I have received the output, and if I click on sign out, I'm able to sign out as well. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.